All right, guys, here we are to talk about Jessica Jones, Season 2, Episode 10. What do you think about this episode?
There are things here that I liked.
All right, let's start with what you liked.
Ooh, okay.
Not our style. Usually we start with things we hate.
We should start with things that I usually start with the first things that happened and move on to the later things that happened.
What do you got?
My first note is there are no wigs in prison or whatever, because it opens up, she's already in prison. We've skipped right from the end there with the arrest and the flashing lights and all that stuff, and now she is firmly in prison, doing her best to control herself.
It makes sense there's no wigs in prison.
I know.
If you can't have shoelaces, you can't have long strands of whatever to choke people with.
But it was a very instant, because to go from last episode with her looking that way to this episode looking this way was a cool thing or whatever. I liked a lot of stuff. I liked the awful prison guard and all that business.
I actually hate that. It's like such a tropey thing. There's always that guy who's like, I'm powerless, but I must assert my power over you with this and that, and eventually it'll get me killed and get you slightly hurt or whatever it is. It just seems such a why? Especially you're almost killed once, right?
Yeah.
And that was before you really did anything to her. Why tease the dog?
He has a problem.
Yes.
Clearly. And he's done this before, apparently.
And Jessica has a solution.
She does. Do you think he's dead?
God, yes.
He looked pretty dead.
God, yes.
Okay.
The red meat was clearly showing.
Yeah, but I'm just making sure. Because, who knows? Whatever. He got her with the bear mace, and she lashed out and all that stuff. I don't know where we're going from here. So,
I think it's a little strange if you know you're a superpowered person to be lashing out at full capacity at anyone when blind. So she had that coming. That's manslaughter. It's not murder. It's manslaughter.
Okay.
But just the same, that carries a prison sentence. I wonder what she will do to avoid that. Is she going to cover up the body? Is she going to, what do you think the play here is? Because as a superhero, a heroine in this series.
Is she a superhero?
By definition,
yes,
she is super and she heroicizes every now and again. But what is your move here? Like if this is you, right? You're like, okay, I just killed somebody. I don't want to go to jail for the rest of my life. I'm seeing that firsthand with my mother. It seems horrible. I don't like that. I don't, but it could be an interesting break out of the raft part, 2 of the season.
Tying something around the bars of the saloon. No, I know. So this is obviously what that's supposed to be, right? She's seeing this horrible thing she did, and her mother did all these horrible things, right? I don't know if she's okay. I kind of didn't hate, I think, any individual thing here.
No.
But what I was gonna say that I don't like is that the episode ends us in a place where I still, and again, maybe I suck, maybe I do want a bad guy and a good guy and for things to happen or whatever, because I don't feel like we have a clear thing we're doing here in this season. Yes, it's all about her mother apparently and all that stuff or whatever, but it doesn't feel like every other Marvel show someone has emerged as a bad guy.
Yes, and we don't really have that.
Right. And maybe again I suck and I just want that. And I don't know.
I don't require it, but no, I think it's that you're left in anticipation wondering, well, where is it? Because it's happened in everything so far.
Maybe that's it, yeah.
And I'm wondering now, because there's so many possibilities for outcomes now with the whole potential jail thing.
Well,
so you have is she gonna hide it? Is she gonna throw that body into the sun?
I was gonna say, I think she has the means to cover this up if she wants.
Certainly, she's a good investigator, but she also is proven to have a conscience. And by turning in her own mother, she cares about other people enough that I think she might do the right thing here and call that detective who she reported her own mother to and said, listen, blah, blah, blah. But then I'm thinking, what legs do you have to stand on? You were in this guy's apartment. Yes, he was doing wrong, and you have proven him a murderer. Is that enough to get some sort of a thing? Can you say, I proved this thing, but then it's lying. Is she going to lie? She's lied in the past, but always like a white lie, because, again, she is that character, that center, that grounded person that does do things because they're right.
Sure.
So I don't know which it could go any direction here, and I think almost any direction it goes, I might say I don't know if that's how it would happen.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. It's either the next episode begins cinematographically, right? The next episode could begin and you shot for shot remake the scene with her mother. chained up with Jessica now, right? And it's Hogarth and now Trish being like, oh my God, what happened or whatever, right? But that's weird, right? I don't know.
It's very weird, but you do have a lot at your disposal. She has Hogarth.
I don't want anything to happen. Let's put it that way. Any of the possibilities that could possibly happen.
Yeah, because seeing her on the run is not as good. Seeing her...
We only have 3 episodes left. 11, 12, and 13.
What, do you think
something has to come to some sort of resolution, right? So she can't just cover it up because the point of covering it up would have been in episode 4 in a way where later her mom finds out, wait, so what, you can just kill people and I can't kill people? Like we are the same, and then just like, no, we're not the same.
Yeah.
You could do all that, right? It's far too late to be trying to to do that, unless they're trying to do that. But I don't know.
I do think she's going to be in prison. I think that's going to be the thing. I think that'll be the play. Maybe Orange is the New Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
And it'll be a thing, and it'll be her and her mom in prison together,
right.
And it could be interesting if they do go to but if they go to the raft, we're declared that the raft is only out of the cell for 1 hour a day. Yeah. And how much show can you really have in that 1 hour a day unless they break out really quickly?
Unless it's dream sequences.
Luke Cage
and all
didn't go to the raft, so was the raft just not existing then? Was he such a nice man that he didn't get sent there? He's a superpowered guy.
I was just gonna say, he was in prison a while ago. It's like, no, he went back to prison. Yeah. Why didn't they send him to prison? I got this image, by the way, of Fisk, benching all that weight, and then Jessica grabbing it and he can't pull it back down. And I was like, oh God, if they were together somewhere, because none of them have gone to a special prison, right? That's a whole new concept of the raft.
You'd even think that
maybe
they
just created the
Punisher to a special, even though he's a human. No, he's too dangerous. Send him there.
No, there's a point, right, where people just get lumped in. People were being declared as terrorists under the Patriot Act.
Yes.
Even if they were not the actual ISIS or Al Qaeda, they were just okay, well, you're still no, get him out, all that stuff. Yeah.
I wonder. I do think there could be an interesting episodes in prison if they went to a normal prison. And Hogarth did have that deal on the table. If you told blah blah, which I believe they did set up that she was spilling the beans in quotes, even though the beans were not exactly where they counted them originally, that she would get to a regular prison. And if she can, I'm sure they could get Jessica in there because they could please something with he was a murderer. We have all the trophies. We have proof. He did these things. He was torturing, blah, blah. She was investigating. She's a private eye, blah, blah, blah. He attacked her. I understand she was in his house, but it was something. We had lawful reasoning. She smelled weed, something.
No, I was going to say, as a private eye, and anytime you go into someone's house, that is illegal still, right?
Yes.
It isn't like you get a private eye license and you're we're authorized. Let us look around. Yeah, so there's no I don't know. That could be a B&E and manslaughter or something then, right? You could
and that would be prison.
Down. Yeah.
And I could see this turning into a thing either it's an awesome how we had Luke Cage's former years in prison episodes, things happening in prison, or the government needs you, Jessica, and you're willing to do these things.
That's what I was sort of dabbling around when we talking about the rafts and all that, because you were unless they break out or whatever, right? And the whatever would be,
are used.
Hey, think of it like probation, except I'm going to
call
you.
Suicide Squad of Marvel.
Yeah, I'm going to call you to send, to take some special cases, and you're not going to be able to say no, okay? And she's like, ugh, and now this is an element of the show or whatever. I could see that.
And that could be very interesting.
That could be great, yeah. So if all of this has been to get us to there. And they're listen, it'd be a shame, if we did have to send your mom to the raft, so you have to do this for us now or whatever.
Yeah.
I'd be oh, interesting, right?
No, there's a lot of potential here, and my biggest fear is that it's going to go completely south out of all my hopeful predictions into oh, she just threw it in the sun and she's going to drink a lot. All right, cool.
That's what I'm saying. Is it'll be so wasted and dumb, right? Because even if you wanted to end it like that, then you'd have to have more than one episode of that guard messing with the mom. It was all compressed into one thing.
Very.
You meet the guard at the end of the last one, maybe, and then
in a matter of
this one.
If you count it as one episode, because it starts at the end of the other one and it goes into the beginning of this one, so it's one episode of screwing with. And in that episode, he managed to order special things from did he overnight those from China? What do those even exist for? Are those for when we somehow tie up rhinos? Why would you have this thing that could kill a normal person?
I think it's because of the new powered world that we live in or whatever.
But do you think he was able to order that through the prison, or he bought that on his own because he was torturing her?
No, I think he said like, "Hey, we're having a problem with the powered inmate 46982. We have to get some special."
It's not like hooked up to anything. So like, what kind of battery thing is like ridiculous amount of capacitors? Because it has to not only be the mechanical nature that can send these charge, but it has to also be secure enough to hold her. So like.
Yeah.
All the thickness that would be just solid like titanium has to be like an electrical conductor and a blah 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 and this and that.
I assume it's like a combined. It's like a Tony Stark. It's something fancy or whatever.
The budget though, it just
no, and it's crazy. And like I hear what you're saying about it being super like a cliche or whatever, but I liked because that guy was like super shitty.
Oh, definitely. But the definition of made-to-order item where it's like, all right, that'll be $80,000. We'll have it to you in 3 weeks. Like, we can't even get proper shelving the next day. Like, we have to order everything.
Authorization, special, we have to fight the power. That should be on a sign.
What else happened in the episode that isn't a prediction at this moment?
Yeah, well, so we got...
Oh, Hogarth. Let's talk about her for a minute.
Probably my favorite thing of the whole episode.
She is such an actress.
I know.
I felt so bad for her.
It was so good. So, like, I'm not saying go back and, like, get the footage and cut it in, like, here. You're probably not. That's probably a waste of time, right? But, like, you had suggested this, like, a few episodes ago. You're like, well, or, Shane is her boyfriend and they're, like, working together to, like, do, like, a whatever. And I think, like, so much time has passed and he actually tried to like do his lay on hands that we're like, I guess that's not it or something like that. I was like, when you suggested that, I was like, that would be so great. I don't think they're gonna do that, but that would be so great. So I'm watching this and I'm like, oh, they did it. So like early in the episode, she introduces Shane to Jessica.
Yep.
And when it cuts over to Shane and like the way Inez is like sitting near him, like their body language, I was like, oh God, I think they are like a thing. They're like implying that they're like a thing of some sort. Oh God, are they gonna do that thing? That's amazing. And even at that point, I still thought, well, like maybe they are like conning her, but he does have powers. Maybe they wear off. Maybe he has like a different power where he like can like psychically like mess with her head or something. But it's like temporary or something. Like that.
He's just a con man.
He's just a con. The way like that's the kind of like twist that I love. Where now you can go back and it's like, oh, Inez must have gone to the prison and gotten on one of those phones through like the glass and been like, it's ALS, or I tell her this. It was a cramp in her hand. It was this. It was that. Whatever. He's like, okay, and then he plays it all like reluctantly, like lady, I'm not doing that. So perfect for all these different steps there, right? And now like. To have Hogarth not even confront them, to have it all happen off camera.
That's what was so great. Her
empty,
breaking down alone in her empty house.
I know.
And I'm like, how did they even empty this whole house? Because like they took so much stuff. I'm like, they must have just been like at a freight elevator all day, renting trucks in the city. That's such a pain, but I guess she had a lot of valuable stuff.
Worth it, man.
Oh, man.
And yeah, like the house is empty, and like it's not even just all the stuff, right? It's like the hope for her illness and like her future,
and that's what you felt crashing down on her.
And this relationship with Inez of like
she
maybe
lost
we're gonna
everything
do that.
In one swoop.
Just crumbled,
like
right?
This future and vacations with a new loved one and a health and happiness, and now she lost even her fucking jewelry. Like everything is gone.
Everything.
Oh man, and I feel like you're gonna get this like bat out of hell Hogarth on the next case she takes. She's gonna just like destroy things.
Which would be perfect if that case was Jessica's murder trial, right?
It really would.
But yeah.
Or you're gonna get a crippled Hogarth with like it's Jessica, I need you, and she doesn't return call. She's in the bathtub with the water running, crying.
She's like, burn it all down. I don't care anymore. Yeah, I know. But that's so good because you're giving Carrie-Anne Moss all this like stuff to do to take advantage of her talents and whatever.
She is so good in this episode. So good.
I loved her in this whole season. Like even like last season originally when she's cheating on her wife or like her like dumpy wife and all that stuff. And like it's like, what about my priorities? And it's like, okay, honey, listen, and all that stuff. Like how like she plays everything. And now to have this with like the hookers and with the court stuff and with she thinks she's like manipulating Shane the whole time, but she was vulnerable, right? This whole thing about her character being such like a tough like defensive person.
The guttural scream. I was like, you can't teach that. That's just like I was like, oh, you're great.
Yeah. Well, so like I like scenes like this too because there have been times where I've disagreed with the rest of the world, like Mystic River.
Okay.
I hated Sean Penn's performance in that. He won an award.
Sure.
And I thought like that is so gross and over the top, and like it took me so out of it. I thought he was like horrible in that. And so then people are like, well, you just don't like emotions. You're some sort of robot, like or whatever. But then scenes like this, I'm like, I do like emotions. See, I like this. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. And then we have Trish.
My girl.
Yeah.
She messes up that audition, and also here in like the absence, right? You just see her like floundering, and then he's like, okay, reset. Okay, you got this, girl. I'm tearing up your nuts. Come from the heart. And then it just cuts to her like having failed. You don't even see her attempt to like push it harder, right? I love that.
Yeah, I wondered about that because I thought she was like, my thought was when he rips the notes up, like, talk about something you care about. I thought it was gonna be about like, all right, we're gonna talk about superpowered ability people and blah blah blah, and she's gonna nail it. But
or like give too much away about the current events.
Yeah. And I was like, I guess that's realistic because not everything goes as you want. And really, this episode's all about everyone losing everything they want. It is, though.
It is.
Jessica
it's
trying to say
good.
she's not a murder somebody. Hogarth's, happy, healthy, successful. No. Trish, all right, I lost my other job and I lost this job. Okay, cool. And now you have Malcolm, who was like wanted a relationship. And he's like, you know what? I can't be with you.
I loved that scene.
And
too.
everybody loses everything in this episode.
But then more stuff happens with their thing. So like,
yes.
I loved Malcolm's whole like, hey, I wrote it down in like a funny way. We don't want to fill each other's holes or whatever it was. Yeah. But he says like, we're both screwed up and we can't be using each other to like fill it or whatever. When she comes back, but when she comes back, there's no dialogue. Just the way she looks at him, and I was like, oh my god! I was like, what was it? The interview _ what's his name? The guy from the interview, the main
Franco?
guy. Then James Franco, and he goes or whatever and all that stuff. Like what? I was like, that's awesome. And there's no dialogue. They just start kissing and everything's like great, right?
Yeah.
And then it gets all crappy again. They're doing like the in bed talking. And like she's like this I didn't like either, the whole where she's crazy on this investigation and all that stuff. She channels everything into that now. She's like, oh no,
yeah.
I'm gonna loop back around, right? Because earlier I wrote down, well, everyone knows everything about everyone, right? Like Jessica says, you slept with him, didn't you? And then she says, I was using Simpson's inhaler, and they even tell you like the chemicals in it, like everything's known.
That was
everything's
interesting
whatever.
too. It's like, well, a human couldn't use this; they would die. It would cause this and that and whatever.
Yeah. Which proves that Trish actually has superpowers. No.
Well, or it proves that in like 6 episodes she's gonna I have kidney failure.
Her hair's gonna start falling out.
She was huffing,
like
or it's like it's this horrible thing where it's like marijuana, not even once, and Malcolm somehow gets like prostate cancer from having that one puff.
Oh yeah, and like Trish is fine, but then Malcolm has some serious problems. That would be good stuff. That would be good, ugly stuff.
That would be bad, but that's how life works.
No, good, good.
This whole thing where Trish is doing her investigation, which is like actively fucking Jessica,
and seems to like not know that.
Well,
though,
she doesn't
or something.
know, and that's how like every show has a thing like this, where I'm like, oh god, it was all gonna be fine. Why are you helping? Oh, it's killing everyone.
I know.
And at this point, it's like, well, how much more could really fall apart for Jessica?
Yeah.
Because like, what is actually the worst case scenario? Worst case scenario here is Trish meddling screws up the deal, and they don't get the deal for the mom. The mom gets sent to the raft, and Jessica gets sent to the raft. That's the worst case, right?
Yeah, but then we may not even have a show, so I don't think they're going to do that.
Well, you'd have something.
I know.
At that point, I would love for them to go, and Kilgrave is still alive, and he's there, and
and he's controlling Dr. Octopus.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. He made me new kidneys. Now, this whole thing, like, during this whole investigation thing, the whole time, like you're saying, like, that stuff hits me particularly hard. Like, everyone has, like a pet peeve or, like, a hot button or, like, a thing. I really hate any time, and, like, yes, it is realistic, but I really hate any time they have to drag us through this thing of, like, shouldn't you guys just talk about this? And they're like, no, just go. I can't talk to you right now. And then we have to watch them doing all these things that like hurt each other separately, slowly, and like, oh,
these are all the things that would happen in movies before cell phones existed. And you're like, if only they could have talked right now, they'd all know. But you're like, why don't you just send a message? Jess, I found this, or like whatever. Something.
Or like, since Romeo and Juliet, I've thought communication problems were like poor narrative decisions or whatever. I like when a character's like personal desires or like greed or like their like faults drive them to do something that hurts people they love. Not where it's like, oh, well, if you had told me that this happened, then like I wouldn't have done that. Oh, okay, it's fine, and then everything's just fine, right? Because that's not realistic either. People still hate people forever, even though they're like, well, I didn't know, and it's like, well, that's no excuse, right?
Yes.
So you can't get back. Right,
ignorance
whatever.
of the law
is
not an excuse.
Yeah, so that's the whole thing. So yeah, she has a great conversation with Jessica's mom, though. I loved her mom like lashing out.
I just realized
and she will always choose me.
So
oh yeah.
I just realized not Jessica, Trisha's mom. I just realized who she was.
Yeah.
It just clicked to me. I didn't realize she was the girl from Hands of Rocks at Cradle, and she's like that famous actress. I was like, oh, that's her. She looks so different now. I guess it's been like 30 years.
Totally.
Which makes sense, but she still looks good. But yeah, that just clicked on me. Where I'm like, wait a minute, that's my.
Yeah. I liked Jessica's mom though lashing out at Trish, saying like she will always choose me, and then Trish goes to talk to Jessica, and it basically goes like that.
Well, yeah, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially like you haven't had this mother in your life for so long that to just throw it away. Even though she kind of did that when she like real quickly went with that dude. Like, you're right, I should send her to prison. Like, even though she was working with her side by side for a while, but yeah, she can't be trusted. She was like the Hulk. She just like can't be controlled. You gotta put her somewhere.
No, and I don't know. The whole thing, it doesn't feel, it feels like not a fake thing, but like, I don't know why we're choosing one over the other, why Trish is doing all these things. Okay, that's fine. Then it's fine. So the investigation continues, where they get all the way to the hotel, and near the end, she hits Malcolm and puts him in the trunk.
Yeah, that was so strange, because people don't seem to realize, when you knock someone out, you could kill them.
I know.
And they knock people out all the time.
Well, it's a movie thing, yeah.
She loves this guy, or at least fucks this guy.
To some degree, yeah.
And just hits him and puts him in the trunk. Mm-hmm. You know what would be best to me, if while we're naming worst case scenarios, if she killed him and she goes to the raft. And all three of them are there, and it's the ladies of the raft.
They that's pretty good. Somebody's angels.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Like she has permanent lasting effects from the
I was just going to say.
And so she actually can go to the raft.
So, like, up until this episode, I was like, okay, Hogarth's healed, and she's kind of changing as, like, a person, right? So then she's going to, like, keep, right, that, like, dumb thing that I said, like, from the very beginning as, like,
where you thought she would be the bad guy?
As, like, a fake prediction. A bad guy, or, like, we need to do, like, right, like something has to come, because, okay, even Luke Cage, that was getting really, not like, symbolic-y or like whatever, like with the music and with the club and the town and then the flashbacks, right, had all this meat to it. They still ended it with like Diamondback, I'm gonna punch you, man,
terrible,
and all that stuff, right? So I was just assuming, I'm like, okay, someone has to end up punching somebody here, right? So like, what's gonna happen, right? And Trisha is on super drugs, and Hogarth is getting like magically healed by a mutant dude or something like that. So I'm like, okay, and like Jessica's thing, and then Malcolm does it. I'm like, okay, this is all gonna like come together into like something like that or whatever, right? They're going to have to get more of the drug because Trish is going to be like dying or something like that. They're going to have to go to... Is Dr. Kozlov dead? Did he die in like in earlier seasons of one of these shows?
I don't think so.
Okay. I don't know.
Didn't he end in the last episode of...
That's Dr. Carl.
Oh, wait, which one's Kozlov?
Dr. Kozlov is the dude who like scoops up Simpson out of the thing at the end or whatever. I don't know if they ever said that he's dead
or
I
don't think so.
Yeah, he's not like a main character. I don't even know if he has like a lot of lines or whatever in like the earlier season. But the point is like I thought they were going to be playing up like that angle where like we have to contact him, we have to get the antidote or more of the drugs or whatever.
Oh wait, or did they kill him off camera?
They might have killed him off camera.
I think he actually. Now I'm thinking about it, he might be dead off camera.
I think Simpson might have killed him or something like that.
Something.
But that's like that would be the direction I would see this kind of thing going in like your traditional like story is like, okay, so now Trish is like having like organ failure, but like in season 1 she like took super drugs and they had to like treat her because Simpson's like, those drugs are gonna kill her unless she gets the other thing or whatever, right?
Well,
and they ignored all that.
This was a drug since then that I think they've
that's fine. I think we talked about that
a solution
earlier.
To that bullshit,
Right. But the point is like now that they've even confirmed that these things are like have dangerous things in them or something like that, I was like, oh, so that's gonna be like the thing. And we're gonna have to use our punching power and our like detective powers and our lawyer powers and like work together Ocean's 8 style
by our
and
powers
like
combined.
Get all this to work, right? Yeah. She's gonna have to do this. They're gonna have to call Griff, who's gonna have some like connection to some like military, paramilitary, Kosovo thing, right? They're gonna have to do all this crazy stuff to get this to work. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be 2 episodes at the end, right? But now I have no idea because she didn't really get, she doesn't really have the thing. Trish seems fine. Malcolm seems fine. Like, I don't know.
Right? It's going to be interesting. We have a world of possibilities ahead of us.
Yeah.
And the prediction that we made, there's so many angles it could go that it's very hard to get a lock on what's going to happen. And I kind of like that they didn't give a tell that because usually it's very, you're able to predict, this is going to happen. You can even, most of the time, pick how the shot will happen. You're like, okay, that'll happen off screen, a Slava Bava, because you just know how things are going to work. And this one, I'm like, I have no idea. Can they afford to show the raft? If they can, I think the raft is where it's going to go.
Yeah, and I hate that. I hate that, like the show... I don't like having to predict where I'm like, well, let's see. If Kristen Ritter signed up for a third season, they're going to do this. If this happened, they're going to do that. Can they afford to show the raft? Would Samuel L. Jackson do a cameo? I don't know. And we have to predict based on that, right? The show should be always pointing me somewhere and then either paying off something or misdirecting me and pulling the rug out from under me, right? I don't like, episodes
I think the raft would actually be very cheap to make because
it's solitary confinement.
Because it's so solitary.
Exactly. I totally agree. You wouldn't have to show Paul Rudd and everybody, who I think are maybe out of there by this time, but I don't know timeline.
That would actually be really awesome.
It would be awesome to have cameos from actual Avengers.
Well, because they were saying that it's still possible that they could be in the next Avengers movie, that they could make the cameos and swing over, and that would be very cool. If there's an explosion and that's how they break out, and that's them needing Ant-Man to fight.
I was gonna say I haven't seen Infinity War yet, and I don't know where the Marvel Netflixes are supposed to fall into the Marvel.
No, but Ant-Man's on house arrest, isn't he?
He's out. He got out in the last other one or whatever. Yeah,
and he wouldn't be in the raft anyway because that doesn't make sense. He doesn't have any powers. It's a suit.
He was in the raft though.
Was he?
At the end of Civil War, I think.
Oh, was that the raft?
Yeah. Well, that was either because they
did they call it the raft?
The establishing shot was a weird looking pillbox building with waves crashing around it. So I thought that I don't know if they say it's the raft or if I just assumed.
For whatever reason, I never clicked as that's the raft.
No, I think Hawkeye's in there because there's a whole scene, and this is 2 or more years ago now in real life time.
Yeah.
So again, I don't know where the Marvel verse falls into play, but I assume they haven't talked about robots trying to take over the world yet. So in my head, the Marvel Netflix happens after the first Avengers movie,
right after,
and before Ultron or whatever. Maybe that's not true. Maybe they should fucking do something to teach me.
Unless they say something headline wise, it's impossible to say anything.
I know. So
for certain.
In my head, they're still in the raft, and you could just do that. That might be so confusing for the world that they wouldn't do that. But
I'd be
interested.
interested.
So we're at an impasse. There's going to be something happening next episode because every episode something happens.
That's by nature.
Can't wait
to
see what it is.
Yeah, no, very much looking forward to it. Let us know in the comments what you guys think is going to happen. Don't die in a fire, and we'll see you next time.
Hello, internets. I just love watching JustDaggers. If you've enjoyed this video as much as I have, click that subscribe button. Peace out, homies.